Hello, I'm Nick Trott and I'm the editor of Evo magazine, and today I have with me Ryan, who is the assistant editor of denofgeek.com. Now Ryan, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, we're here today to talk about cars, chases, crossing the line, movies and more cars.
Okay, so no discussion about car chases would be complete without the classic, the legendary Smokey and the Bandit. Obviously, Smokey and the Bandit, come on, everyone loves Smokey and the Bandit, is that right?
I think so.
So tell us a little about this film. This was a properly high-grossing film, wasn't it? 77?
Yeah, 1977, and the second highest grossing film of 77, second only to Star Wars.
Remarkable.
Indeed,
Remarkable.
yeah.
So the film is basically a car chase, but there's some plot, isn't there? There's some plot in there.
There's a bit of plot, yeah. There's something to do with some booze being run from Texarkana in Texas to Georgia, is it?
Right.
And you've got the Bandit, who of course is Burt Reynolds in his Pontiac, and he picks up a runaway bride played by Sally Field, who so happens to be, what's the word when you're
Fiance,
thank you. Who is the fiance of the sheriff's son?
Yes. So this is where it starts to unravel in a way, doesn't it? Because we've got to transport the booze, we've got to kind of outrun the cops and everything, but we've got an interesting car. We've got a Pontiac Trans Am here. You know, this is kind of the ultimate muscle car of the time, isn't it? 1977, you know, Trans Am. I absolutely love Smokey and the Bandit. I love that it's slapstick. I love the way it doesn't take itself seriously. So when this film came out, you know, I was sort of 3-4 years old, and I used to watch this over and over again until I was about 10, and I just basically wanted to be the Bandit. Isn't that?
At the time, he was just the man, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was absolutely the man. Yeah, so he was trying to seduce Sally Field while trying to outrun the police and smuggle booze.
Yeah, basically.
So he was the anti-hero.
He's kind of the anti-hero, but you kind of just like him. And also, I think it's what makes the film so good. It keeps so many plates spinning at once.
Yeah.
You know, because you have got you've got the guy in the truck who's kind of getting the booze across the line, and then, you know, and you've got the comedy, you've got the action. You know, it kind of covers it all very well. Yeah,
the action is pretty good actually. I mean, it's Hal Needham directs the film, and he's a famous Hollywood stuntman, isn't he? And he went on to do Cannibal Run and a bunch of other stuff. So the action's pretty authentic, and on the car side of things, when you see the Trans Am moving around on the road, it's being driven really hard. There's one scene, or a couple of scenes in particular, where the first one is where the car is going through a long left-hand tarmac, you know, curve, and it's absolutely on the limit. You can see the car's in a perfect four-wheel drift. And there's the other one where he always seems to take to dirt roads, doesn't he? He's like, well, you know, I'll go that way, and he goes through a forest kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So they're kind of charging through this forest, and the car's just steering, you know, from the back, and it's really well driven. You know, it's pretty cool. Same can't be said for the cop cars.
No, bless them, they're all quite hapless, aren't they, the police?
Well, yeah, it's just a hilarious film, isn't it? A couple of other things to note. No seatbelts.
No, it's probably seems to be against the law in America at that point. You should never ever wear a seatbelt unless you're a communist.
Yeah, that's right. The hilarious moment where Sally Field is absolutely terrified. You know, she thinks she's gonna die. They're charging up behind a truck or another car. So what does she do? She tries to climb in the back of the car. She doesn't, you know, put the seatbelt on and pray or something. No, she tries to get in the back. No, it's just hilarious. But I believe Burt Reynolds did a fair bit of the driving in the film. I think because there were so many close-up shots of the car moving, you know, they had to use him. So, but he's a cool character, isn't he?
Yeah, and also, you know, you mentioned Sally Field. You give her a due because she's the passenger, but she makes a really good. You know, she makes a really good character. She's, you know, she's scared and she gets excited and all those sorts of things. And but she's never really annoying, is she? You know, you know, sort of in some other sort of action films, you know, you've got like the woman hasn't got anything to do except scream kind of thing. Yeah. But she makes it into a real character, the little that she's got. Yeah. She's a great actress.
Yeah, she's kind of a scene stealer actually, isn't she? She's quite funny,
so.
And everyone kind of fell in love with Sally Field, didn't they? So so we get towards, you know, the chase goes on, it's funny, but there's the moment, isn't there? There's the crossing the line moment.
Absolutely,
and a decision has to be made. And the Bandit, being the Bandit, takes what kind of decision?
Well, yeah, I mean, he decides to do what anyone would do, and that is to cross an unfinished bridge. And probably one of the coolest jumps in cinema history. I think, you know, there's probably only one or two that I can think of that are as good as this. Yeah. And of course, the cops aren't quite as brave as Bandit is. No,
not at all. It's quite nicely set up, the jump at the end, because he sees the bridge closed sign, doesn't it? And then he turns around and he thinks, oh no, I'm going to back out of this. So you think, oh, is this a chink in the Bandit's armour? Is he not as brave as we think he is? And then he goes to the cops and he says something like, oh, that's a worse option.
Yeah, that's worse, yeah.
So he turns around and then goes straight for the bridge. And that's where I'm thinking, from a driver's point of view, you're thinking you need a lot of traction here, because you've got to get some speed up, and the rear wheels are spinning away, and you've got this colossal V8 engine, rumbling and charging. And then he hits the jump, and then, as you say, he just sails through the air, doesn't he? But it's the landing that's the most impressive, isn't it?
That's astonishing, yeah. And I think you were saying earlier that it's a surprisingly aerodynamic car. It looks quite beautiful in flight.
It flies better than it drives,
yeah.
I think. Yeah. No, it gets, when you see some films, the car's obviously going onto its nose or its tail down or whatever, but it scribes like an amazing arc through the sky where it just kind of goes perfectly. But then mysteriously kind of goes out of shot, doesn't it?
I think it's probably, for reading up on this film, I think it's just as well that it did go out of shot, because apparently they wrote the car off doing that. They were given 3 Pontiacs and Trans Ams, and that one died, unfortunately.
Right.
Gave its life for that amazing stunt.
Yeah. But that was absolutely brilliant. It flew through the air, and it went beyond the down ramp, didn't it, from the jump, and then disappeared off. And then in movie lore, obviously the car has to come back to life, and off it goes. But yeah, that's you can't take it too seriously. But actually, it's nicely done. You get to see the car moving around. You can hear the V8 engine, rumbling away, and there's some comedy moments in between. So
well, it's good, isn't it? Because it's an example of how the film treads the line between the danger of the stunts and the situations, and then adds the comedy on afterwards. So you get the cool jump, and then the hapless cops show up. A few seconds later, decide not to make the jump, and then get pushed in the water anyway.
That's it. Yeah, no, it's great. So there were 2 sequels, is that right?
Yeah, and a TV series, I recall.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, Smoking the Bandit. It's safe to say we like Smoking the Bandit.
I think it's safe to say we do.
Yeah, good film.